starting now, and we're live. So let's go ahead and do this in 3, 2, 1. This is Life is Leet, episode 18 for May 24, 2014. Hello everyone, welcome back to Life is Leet. This is a podcast of nerds yelling at microphones about things. I am Jesse Hanna, and joining me today, as always, is my co-host, younger brother, and now high school graduate, Aaron. How are you doing today?
Feeling old yet?
I am feeling so freaking old. The fact that you're out of high school now, when I started college, you were just starting middle school. Now, I've graduated from college, you've graduated from high school, and I feel old. But anyway,
everything is backwards now.
Everything's broken.
Now I'm the one in college.
It's all ruined. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Go home, everyone. We're done here.
So yeah, anyway, that was the thing that happened this week. I graduated last week, Aaron graduated this past week. So yeah, that's a thing. That's awesome. We're both done. Well, I'm done. Aaron is done, but moving on to being not done again. So anyway,
back to square one.
Anyway, one thing that will be constant for the both of us is video games. So let's go ahead and, as we always do, start off with talking about that. And it sounds like this. No, I totally wasn't buying time just to be able to find the button on the soundboard. What are you talking about? Anyway.
Okay then.
So this week, yeah, now that I'm out of school, I'm finally able to get back into games. It has been kind of a busy week, so I haven't been able to play a whole lot, but I have played some Bravely Default, working my way through Act 5, or Chapter 5 still. Diablo 3, I've got my Demon Hunter into the low 60s, just doing bounties in adventure mode. Loving that, by the way. Adventure mode is awesome. Just so much loot. And we'll have a bit of news about that coming up shortly here. And in Hearthstone, I finally got enough gold, enough dust, enough cards to upgrade my rogue deck that I use in ranked play. I was able to upgrade it with a Leroy Jenkins. So I can now summon I believe it's a 6/2 with charge for 6 mana that summons 2 1/1 whelps for my opponent.
Oh.
It has won me a game already though, so definitely enjoying having made that decision. But that's pretty much been it for me this past week. Besides Mario Kart on the 3DS, it's still eagerly awaiting the arrival of my Mario Kart 8 Wii U bundle. That will be here this Friday, so I'll be able to talk about it on next week's show. But that's pretty much all I've been up to this past week. What about you, Aaron? You've been pretty busy, it looks like.
A little bit.
Just a little?
Yeah, well, now that I'm out of school and I have time on my account, I decided, hey, why not? I'll boot up WoW again. And I started playing on my main, which is a Blood Elf Destruction Warlock.
Yep.
And almost at level 50.
What server is that on again?
Earthen Ring.
Earthen Ring, all right. Is he still in AIE, or do you need to get back in?
No, actually, he is not.
Well, yeah, because
because I haven't played in like 2 years.
Well,
so.
yeah, they remove inactive characters that haven't logged in, and I think it's something like 3 months. But we'll get you back in. All you have to do is join.
No, I think it might be longer than 3 months. I feel like there was a period where I was in, and then I was gone for 3 months, and then I came back, and I was still back.
It varies. Sometimes a character will slide for more than 3 months because they just don't get around to getting. They do have several thousand characters in those guilds to deal with. So, but yeah, we'll get you back into that.
Then once I get to, and mainly I've just been doing questing and zones, and then just doing a dungeon whenever I feel like it. And then once I get to appropriate level, I'll probably start doing raids.
Yep. Well, let me know when you get up to 60, because that's where my monk is at right now. So we can work on leveling those.
And then I need to figure out what to do for raids, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Have you or are you gonna pre-order Warlords of Draenor?
I probably will.
Okay, you thinking of using the level 90 boost?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I just don't know on what yet.
Yeah.
If I can't get my warlock up before then I might, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, moving on from that. You've also been playing, looks like, some Bravely
I've been
Default
playing
still.
Bravely Default. I got to the final boss of the second ending, and I'm working on that. But other than that,
yeah. So that's
pretty much it.
That's the true ending?
Yeah, the true ending.
Okay. And you've seen the normal ending.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
I've beaten it too.
Yeah. Well, I'm still working. I'm not sure whether I want to go for the true ending first or the normal ending. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm still just working my way through that. I think my party is in the low 60s right now.
Mine is like mid 80s. So
okay. Yeah. Well, and I've been going. Well, actually, I don't want to say what I was just about to say in case there are other people who still haven't finished it or aren't quite as far yet, because I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, that definitely is still a good game. I'm definitely still enjoying Bravely Default.
While playing through WoW, I occasionally have this habit of listening to the instance. And in this last episode, they had a conversation about, when is it okay to spoil things?
Yeah, I was listening to that episode just the other day too.
So yeah.
And speaking of the instance, be sure to check out the instance or the AIE podcast or Convert to Raid for the Azeroth Archives segment that I do at the end of it. Or you can go check that out at azeroth-archives.tumblr.com.
Let him know if you found his spine.
Yeah, let the rogue know whether or not anyone has actually seen his spine. He's still working on getting put back together after the incident of a few weeks ago. So yeah, that's not gone terribly well for him. Anyway, let's move on now to news. At the top of the thing here,
we forgot something.
Oh, that's right. We did this happened a few weeks ago, but we entirely forgot another thing completely. So yeah, let's go ahead and a couple items of Diablo 3 news. The first one, which is the one that we forgot, is that Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition is going to be coming to consoles on August 19th. It's going to be coming to both the PS3 and PS4 and the Xbox 360 and Xbox One. And it's going to include D3 and the Reaper of Souls expansion. So, and from what we understand, you will be able to import your characters and game progress from the console versions of Diablo 3 on at least on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. I don't know yet whether or not we know whether copying a save and importing it from a PS3 to a PS4 or for an Xbox 360 to an Xbox One. Don't know yet whether or not that'll be possible. Kind of inclined to think that it wouldn't be, but it would be really cool if they did figure out a way to do that. And they might have a way. I don't know. We'll see. I just haven't seen whether or not it's been said whether or not that'll be possible. One interesting thing, though, is that the price for the previous and current gen versions of the game is going to be different. For the PS3 and Xbox 360, it'll be $39.99. For the PS4 and Xbox One, it'll be $59.99. So that's interesting choice of pricing.
Well, that's probably because Diablo 3 itself is already out on PS3 and 360.
Yeah, it could be.
Whereas on PS4 and XBO, it isn't even out yet.
So I guess kind of expansion versus full game pricing, maybe. That's one way that I hadn't thought about it. But that's one possibility. Anyway, yeah, that was announced a couple weeks ago, but we completely forgot about it last week. There was an ad for it right on the screen, right on my Battle.net launcher, right before we recorded last week's episode, and I still just somehow spaced completely and managed to not add it to the show notes. So there you go. There's that.
This is the thing.
That's taken care of. Anyway, the other bit of Diablo 3 news is that the legendary drop rate buff from the Diablo 3 birthday weekend celebration, that's now permanent. The birthday of the Diablo franchise was celebrated this past weekend by Blizzard buffing the drop rates for legendary items and rift fragments, and players liked the legendary drop rate buff so much that Blizzard said, hey, let's go ahead and make this the permanent buff rate. Or the permanent drop rate. So the buff is gone now, I believe, but the drop rate for legendaries will be the same as it was during the buff. The drop rate for rift fragments is back to normal. So that wasn't a permanent increase, but the drop rate for legendary items is now permanent. So that's awesome. That's rolling in more loot. That's what Diablo's all about, is kill all the things and loot all the things and be ridiculously overpowered. One thing that we have in here, I don't know if we're really going to talk about it all that much. The rumors of whether or not YouTube is going to buy Twitch.
Wouldn't it be Google buying Twitch by extension because Google owns YouTube?
Well, YouTube technically kind of operates sort of independently-ish within Google. They would basically get the money from Google to go out and buy Twitch. And Twitch does a really good job of making it really easy to get up and running with streaming. So maybe YouTube could borrow some of that for like YouTube live streaming, which is what we use to live stream this podcast. And then going the other way, maybe Twitch could use the server infrastructure and hardware beefiness that Google and YouTube offer to improve quality of service for things like the chat. That always has problems when things like Twitch Plays Pokemon are going on, or a major tournament. That always causes problems with the chat servers being overloaded. So I can see that being mutually beneficial. Other than that, I'm not particularly fussed about it either way. So that's just the thing that we at least wanted to mention real quick. Cutting back to some Blizzard news, there has been some data mining of the Warlords of Draenor alpha client, and we've got some pretty cool stuff that we will have links to in the show notes. There was a YouTube channel. Let me look up what its name was. The Adria Craft YouTube channel, and we'll have a link to this in the show notes, like I said. But they have on their YouTube page previews of what appear to be the tier 17 armor sets for 6 different classes. Yeah, 6. Shaman, Monk, Mage, Rogue, Paladin, and Warrior. They data mined and have previews of what appear to be the tier 17 armor sets. So that'll be the first raid tier in Warlords of Draenor. And again, we'll have a link to all of those in the show notes. Also data mined are maps of the new Akindun dungeon, which will be in the Talador zone in Draenor, and of the Talador zone itself, which you may recognize in Outland as the Terakar Forest. It includes places that you're familiar with, like Shatrath City, and also places that you'll be familiar with if you've read some of the lore books, some of the novels, like the city of Talmor, which was a Draenei city, but that was destroyed by the original Horde on Draenor. And I've been reading the novel Rise of the Horde by Christy Golden, and that tells of the original formation of the Horde, the interactions between the orcs and the Draenei on Draenor. It talks about basically everything leading up to what happened in the first games in the Warcraft series. So it's a good read. I recommend checking it out. And there's a lot of good... I particularly recommended it actually coming up to the Warlords of Draenor expansion, because it gives a lot of background information that will be interesting to know for... or going into Warlords of Draenor. So I definitely recommend that. That's Rise of the Horde by Christy Golden. Anyway, the last bit of information that was data mined were dungeon journal entries for the Blackrock Foundry and High Mall raids, which will be part of the... I think those two will comprise the first raiding tier of Warlords of Draenor. So again, we'll have links to all of this in the show notes. It's definitely worth checking out if you want to find out more about what's coming up with this next expansion, which hopefully we'll be hearing some news about a beta coming up pretty soon.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Maybe at BlizzCon.
Yeah. Well, they'll be in beta by BlizzCon almost certainly. I would be extremely surprised if they're not in beta by BlizzCon. But so yeah, we'll have links to those. If you don't want to be spoiled, I guess, then you don't have to check it out. But if you do want to find out more about what's coming and get kind of a look at the work in progress that is Warlords of Draenor, definitely go check those out. They're pretty cool. Coming to us from Crunchyroll, we have more information and screenshots for the upcoming Zelda Hyrule Warriors game. It's being made by the
Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, basically by the team that made Dynasty Warriors, and it's essentially a Legend of Zelda version of that. You play as Link in. It's basically it's a Dynasty Wars style game where you play as Link. Your task is to run around, kill things, rescue the princess. So it's pretty much straight up Zelda game. But some of the visuals for this game, and again, we'll have a link in the show notes to an article about this. These were posted on the official website, which was launched just this past week. The official Japanese website for Zelda Hyrule Warriors, which in Japan is titled Zelda Musou. Some of these, there are renders of Link, of Impa, of Shia the Black Witch, a couple other characters, a few environments, and they look pretty dang awesome. This is definitely a game that I'm going to be looking into picking up for my Wii U.
These screenshots definitely look a lot better than when the game was first revealed. It's significantly improved.
It looks very cool. See, that game is going to be hitting the shelves in Japan on August 14th, and it'll be coming to North America and Europe later this year, but it will be playable at E3. So if you're going to that, you'll be able to check it out there. And Aaron, do you want to take this last bit? Oh, we've got one more thing. We talked.
Don't get ahead of yourself there.
Yeah, It's been a long, busy week. I'm exhausted, sleep deprived. Don't podcast while sleep deprived, kids.
It's a bad idea.
Next to last thing on the list of video game news, we talked a few weeks ago about we've talked several times actually, about how Atlus has been releasing Shin Megami Tensei games on various platforms. They released the original game for iOS. They've brought a couple other games to the PlayStation Network. And now they've added Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga to the PlayStation Network as a PS2 classic. And you can go buy and download it now for $10 for your PS3. So if you like that series, there's another one for you. And I put the wrong... No, I didn't put the wrong link in there. I'm sorry.
You put the right thing.
I did. Okay. Sorry, people. I'm losing my mind. Pay no attention. Anyway, the summary of this game, I had not heard of it or played it before, but it was originally released in Japan in 2004 and then North America and Europe in 2005 and 2006. So it's not, it is a re-release over here, not a initial release. But the summary of it, according to Atlus, is that it explores the wasteland known only as the Junkyard, where tribes are locked into constant battles with each other. Based loosely on the world of Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga first introduced the ability for protagonists to shapeshift between human and demon forms. So that again sounds pretty cool. And Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne was released on PSN a couple of weeks ago. So there's a couple more games in that series for you to check out. I don't think I've got Nocturne yet, but I am planning on getting both of those for my PS3 because those both sound pretty freaking cool. And Aaron, do you want to take this last item of video game news?
Sure. So in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, this is another item of Smash Bros. News. A newcomer was introduced as Ike from the Fire Emblem series, and for Super Smash Bros. 4, Ike is introduced as a returning character. And he's also a lot buffer now than he was in Brawl. Brawl, uh, that's because it's a different game appearance.
Well, yeah.
Same character, just a different game.
Yeah,
So, yeah, there's
a different version of Ike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. Ike is my main in Brawl, even though I'm not very good at the game. But
Yeah. Well, these do look pretty cool. These screenshots on here, and again,
yeah,
link in the show notes. Go check those out. lifeisleet.com. That's where you'll find all of that. But I'm planning on getting at least the 3DS version. I guess since I'll have a Wii U, I'll be able to get the Wii U version as well. My main in Super Smash Bros. Has always been Pikachu. I don't know if that's going to be changing anytime soon. I've always been a fan of Pikachu in those games. Well, that's going to wrap up the video game section for this week. So let's move on now to anime. Alrighty, so I've been watching the usual stuff, Nisekoi, One Week Friends, Tonari and Oseki-kun, and I have also started watching Sailor Moon on Hulu. The first 4 episodes, like we said last week, were released on Monday on Hulu. You can watch them for free online, or if you have Hulu Plus, you can watch them on your phone or your tablet or your TV connected device. I may have actually, yeah, I kind of did sign up for Hulu Plus just to be able to watch Sailor Moon on my living room TV, on my Apple TV in the living room, and I don't regret it. Totally worth it in my opinion.
Do you?
No, not in the slightest.
Not sure if I believe you.
Nope, not at all. And like I said earlier, I have also been reading a couple of Warcraft novels. I've been reading Rise of the Horde, like I said, and I also read and finished War Crimes. Both of those are written by Christy Golden. War Crimes was released just a couple of weeks ago, and it is sort of an interstitial between the end of Mists of Pandaria and the end of the Siege of Orgrimmar raid, the patch 5.4, and what will be the start of the Warlords of Draenor expansion. So it serves kind of the same purpose as The Shattering and Proudmoore Tides of War, both of which, The Shattering was between Wrath and Cataclysm, Tides of War was between Cataclysm and Mists of Pandaria, and War Crimes is the same sort of thing between Mists and Warlords. It's a good read. I definitely recommend checking that out. Aaron, what about you as far as books or anime or whatever?
Same as usual, which is just a new episode of JoJo's, and that's it.
Still been meaning to watch that. It's waiting for me in my Crunchyroll queue. I still haven't gotten around to it yet, but I am planning on watching it. And I think I said last week, I'm probably going to do some audio capture for that. So our new anime bumper may come from that show. So that may be coming in the next couple of weeks. And that's it for the anime segment. There wasn't really any news other than the Sailor Moon release, at least not that I saw. Did you see anything, Aaron?
Not really.
No? So, that's pretty much it for anime. So, let's go ahead and close things out as we like to do with
one more thing.
All right, and our one more thing this week is awesome, especially if you're a fan of Diablo 3. It's a video on twitch.tv. It's a clip by the streamer EU Demon. And it's a all wizards group in a Torment 5 rift. And they're just going along killing things when suddenly all the bloated Malachors just come out of nowhere and start attacking. And holy cow, it's so many Malachors. It's
so much death.
Just the screen is filled with them. It's insane. It's definitely worth checking out. just to see so many fat demon monster dudes just come out of nowhere. And it even better, it's during the fight with the Rift Guardian. So it's a sight to behold. We're playing a little bit of it for you here if you're watching this on YouTube or on the live stream. But we'll have a link to the full clip in the show notes for you to go check that out, because it's pretty awesome. It's just suddenly all the Malachors out of nowhere.
Everywhere.
Just Malachors everywhere and killing all the things. I never really played Diablo 2, but I love Diablo 3. It's especially with patch 2.0, the new expansion, it's awesome. It's pure Diablo. You're just killing all the things and getting all the loot. That's what it's about right there. So that's actually pretty much going to close it out for this week. If you want to find our show notes, wherein we have links to everything that we talked about during the episode, if you want to download the MP3 of this or any of our past episodes, if you want links to our Facebook page, our Twitter stream, our Google Plus page, links to subscribe to the show via RSS or on iTunes, all of that is at our website, which is lifeisleet.com. That's LIFEISLEET.com. And if you want to follow us on Facebook, you can do that at facebook.com/lifeisleet. On Twitter, we're at @lifeisleet. We're on Google Plus at google.com/+lifeisleet podcast. And then you can just search for us on iTunes. Just search for Life is Leet. And we would appreciate it if you left a 5-star rating and review if you feel like this show deserves it. We would definitely appreciate that. And if you leave a 5-star review, at some point we will start reading those. Once we get some, we will give you a shout out on the episode. If you want to follow all the things that I do, I'm Jesse. I write this thing, so if anything is wrong, blame me. If you want to follow all the stuff that I do, you can find that at jbhanna.net. That's jbhanah.net, or at jbhanna on Twitter. Aaron streams things every once in a while. He is at twitch.tv/Plato0. That's PLATO and the number 0. And I stream things every once in a while too at twitch.tv/jbhanna. And whenever one of us goes live for streaming, we'll post about it on our Facebook and Twitter feeds. So keep an eye on those if you want to check that out. If you have any feedback, any comments, questions, suggestions, recommendations for things for us to watch or play or read or whatever, send all of that to us at podcast@lifeisleet.com. Love to hear any of that, any audio attachments that you want us to play. Send all of that to us. Again, podcast@lifeisleet.com. That is going to do it for this week. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, for tuning in, for downloading. For me, for Aaron, until next week, everyone, in the sound of my voice, take care.